All right. Welcome, everybody, to RPG A Day 2018. You can see we've got a group today, and this is a little bit special because this is perhaps going to be the inaugural video for the UnNamed Production Company. We will do an intro to let you know what that is. That will be coming soon, and we're very excited about it. But we thought it would be a lot of fun to go ahead and do the questions for RPG A Day 2018 as a group. This is going to be, I think, pretty fun. I don't know if anybody else has done this as a group in a group setting. And so I think it'll be fun to kind of get that conversation going. And hopefully you guys will see this. You will respond. If, in fact, you like these answers and you do your own videos, leave us a link to wherever that is, whether that is on YouTube, if that's a blog, Facebook, wherever. We want to be able to respond, so that will be awesome. I will also go ahead, we'll make sure we leave the link in the description for where you can find the questions, the blog, and all that. The RPG A Day is now in its 5th year, and effectively what it's going to do is we're going to answer these questions, and you have to use the hashtag RPG A Day when you promote it on social media. That hashtag, you can then search, find the other people that are doing it, and hopefully connect. And the goal is to really find out other role players in the community, what they're doing, what the answers are to the questions, and maybe you maybe make a new friend, maybe you find somebody new. So we are gonna start, and let me see if I can. All right, I'm gonna screen share the questions here for just a moment so you can see that. Okay, so the first question is, week 1 is, what do you love about RPGs? Whoa, so that's a big question. I think what we'll do is, we'll go ahead and start, I think, with, well, let me ask you guys, does anybody want to start with answering this question?
Sure, I'll go first.
All right, excellent.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Caleb. Question is, what do you love about RPGs? Well, first and foremost, you tell some wonderful stories. And usually it's in worlds that I love. You can create your own stories and go about them. Also, another big reason is I have made a lot of friends through gaming, and I still continue to this day make friends and build up a community. So pretty much building a community, making friends, and also telling some wonderful stories and usually having fun while doing it.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe I will kick it over to Samuel, if that is all right.
Hard to follow that with the whole friendship thing, but no, with RPGs, it's hard for me to pick. I love pretty much every aspect of it, but for me, honestly, it's just a number of really cool things I can do, but just basically living power fantasies for me. Just I can make a character who can just go out there and wreck a monster that I'll never face in real life. It's it's better than any video game I've ever been able to play, you know, because I can make any kind of choice I want, and most of all, because I get to DM, so I get to set up those challenges. I get to run people through these kind of crazy adventures and see how they react. I don't know, something about it, and it clicks with me. I love that.
Nice. All right, well, Jordan, I'll go to you next. We're going to put the most pressure on Rory and myself because you guys are taking all the good answers. But yeah, Jordan, what do you love about RPGs?
What do I love about RPGs? Well, I'm about to get real deep on here. I think it's great because it's just a place to escape in RPGs. Like, you can be anybody you want in RPG. Like Sam said, do anything imaginable you would never be able to do in your real life. Because like, especially nowadays, this is a deep thing. we live in a world where like people hate other people. There's people who are different, don't get looked upon the same. Like if you come around an RPG table or a computer, for our case, you're just a player. Nobody cares what you look like or who you are. You're just a player, and everyone can do whatever they want that they would never ever be able to do in the real world. And I think that was the biggest draw for me to this, and the fact that like you get to meet a bunch of people at the same time. Like I live in Nebraska, so unless I'm gonna go making miniatures out of pieces of corn, I don't get a lot of interaction with people for RPGs. So I like it. I like the interaction.
Sweet. Awesome. All right, Rory, how about you? What do you love about RPGs?
Hey everybody, Rory here. Yeah, so for me, I'm gonna go all Marxist on you. It's bringing the game to people who usually just get to play them. So like you could take Unreal Engine and other game companies can make games, but it still takes this level of cost and skill that most people don't have, so it's very limiting. But the notebook and a pencil, you don't even really need the rules, right? That's what Gygax says, but if you have them, great. Anyone can create the most interesting story that's flexible and fun and can deal with horror or drama or action or any type of genre that you want to deal with. It can do that. And so that would probably be my favorite part, the flexibility.
Nice. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I think for me, what I love most about RPGs is that it is sort of the best way that I've found to, what is it, the creative outlet, right? I think anybody who plays role-playing games more than once is a creative person by nature. And when you like RPGs as much as we do, I think that there needs to be an outlet for that creativity, you know, and some people are lucky and they have, you know, musical talent and they can do that. Others maybe are artists, you know, whatever it might be. I don't have any of those talents. So I enjoy role-playing games. I enjoy trying to put a story together that entertains people, whether it's an audience or my players or both. And I enjoy when I'm playing in a game, really being immersed in the story and feeling like I'm experiencing something that I don't normally get to experience. So, you know, among all the other things that were said, which are true for me as well, I think for me it's the purest form of creative outlet that I have. So cool. All right, so that was question 1. What do you love about RPGs? So we'll go on to the second question. Question number 2, RPG A Day 2018. Question 2, what do you look for in an RPG? That's a good question. I'm actually really excited to see, you know, and hear what you guys have to say. I think we'll do it a little bit differently here. I think we'll start with Rory this time. And yeah, we'll just go around and see, what do you look for in an RPG? So I'll kick it over to Caleb. What do you look for in an RPG?
What do I look for in an RPG? For me, it is the setting and usually the art and imagery attached to it. I absolutely love give me like a world to just dig my claws in, mold it to my liking, tell a story in. And I have zero artistic quality, but I absolutely love artwork. Yeah. And some of the images in the books just stay with me, and I can build a whole campaign based off certain images. So for me, it's the setting, usually setting first, system second. And I gravitate towards kind of horror and sci-fi, but that's more, what do I look for? Is just give me a world I can shape, mold to my own, tell a great story, and some good imagery with it. Nice.
So definitely, like, you know, it's got to have some kind of art, hopefully pretty evocative art. So you're not really big into a system that doesn't have a setting, unless maybe it's one of those things like Savage Worlds where you can get the rules, but then there's a ton of settings that you can also get.
I'm okay. I'm okay with like a system book and then tons of settings. Sometimes I like also mining all those settings. Like I'll take imagery from one game, maybe the world from a different game, kind of combine them my own. But just like give me that world, give me the imagery, and that's what I go for.
Nice.
And like I said, I can't draw for the life of me, but I absolutely love artwork.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think evocative artwork can, well, certainly it can sell the game if it, if the cover looks really good. But yeah, if you're leafing through that book, and sometimes you don't have to read any of the words in there, and it's just like, wow, like you get this one piece, and it's like, boom, I could tell a whole campaign now.
Yeah, I love turning a page and say you see 4 people standing in a field. There's a castle in the background. I can just look at them and be like, I got 3 adventures right there I can build from.
Yep. That's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. Well, Samuel, why don't we go to you next? What is it that you look for in an RPG?
What I look for in an RPG, art already got taken, because that's always the first thing that catches my eye when I look at a RPG book. But once I get an RPG book, the main thing I look for is basically how well the rules are set up to facilitate what I want to do in a game. Particularly in my case, combat. This is my favorite part of the game. So I love and the malleability of the rules. An example, like Fate. Fate is designed to, I can change the rules any way I want, and it's not going to break anything, balance-wise or anything like that. So that's what I look for in an RPG, just being able to tweak it as much as I want without having to worry about balance.
Nice.
And
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, what I look for in an RPG is a couple of different things. Like my number one goal, like if you're meeting all my sweet spots, I really want a setting that I'm just into. There's nothing better or worse about the things that I'm into than what somebody else is into, but there are definite things that I'm into. So it has those components narratively in the setting, and it provides me the mechanics the best thing about a good setting is I should start to come up with characters in my head. So it then also gives me the mechanics to then create those characters that I have in my head, then that's like a perfect RPG system for me. But I rarely get that, and for the most part, I am honestly looking for other good people to play with, because I know if I can give somebody else 4 hours of my time for a sci-fi game that hits all their buttons, and I invest myself in it fully, I will enjoy myself no matter what, because I'm having fun with friends, and B, when I go to run my game, it's kind of Robin Hood-esque or Celtic war bands, or samurais versus ninjas or something like that. I know I'm going to get those same people will come and give me 100% for 4 hours, and that'll hit all my buttons. We will all have the kind of experiences on game nights that we want.
Nice. Jordan, how about you? What do you look for in an RPG?
You're right, going last is hard. I like to like the published settings. So I mean, I know not every RPG that comes out has their own published settings. Those have incidents, but if the published settings are something I can get into, I can completely get behind the entire game. Because I guess that encompasses the lore, the art, story, everything about it. But also the mechanics of it. So is character creation going to be easy for me to grasp and fun, and then does it give me options to pour myself into the character? Or is it like, here's your options, pick it and go? And I need to be able to create my own person, because that's, like we said, with what you love about RPGs, you can be whoever you want to be. So I need to be able to put myself into the character and choose what they want to be, and like the mechanics are going to benefit me, or is it going to be too much mechanics that I can't even enjoy the game because I'm sitting there flipping through the book, figuring out what I have to do and what I have to roll and what I have to subtract and add and all of that. So those are my biggest things for it.
Nice. Yeah. So you think maybe like setting sort of 1 and then rules 1A in a way, like
so rules and mechanics are this thing.
Yeah. So, and if they blend together, perfect. Cool. All right. Yeah. And so it sounds, a lot like what Caleb was saying. Do you like, are you okay with, would you go out and purchase a game again, like maybe Savage Worlds or like Fate or something, where it's a generic rule system, but then potentially pick up like a supplement book that has like a setting that you really like?
Yeah, I would, because, and that's a good thing too. That's what if it has multiple settings in multiple places, I would love that. That'd be great. So that I have options. I'm not stuck in one setting and eventually just kind of get stale.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so it's interesting. For me, this one, I always look at an RPG from the point of a GM, and I know we all run games, so I think that we can't help but be influenced by that when we're making decisions about what you look for. Where I imagine if you only ever play and you never GM, then you may or may not have the same answers, but that would be something, that I would love to hear about for sure. If you are a GM, are you looking at as a GM first? And if you only play, how does that influence your decision? But so for me, the very first thing I always look at is, can I run this game, and do I want to run this game? And there's been a lot of settings or systems out there that have had great settings, that have had, a pretty cool premise, but man, I start looking through the book and I'm just like, no, I don't think I want to run this. And so, and it's not necessarily rules light versus a complicated rule set, because, I love original D&D and I love, Genesis system or OSR, Edge of the Empire, so the spectrum there is about as far away as you can get. One of them is very complicated, the other is very simple. But that's all sort of couched in the idea of what type of story can I tell with these rules, or what type of game experience will we have with these rules? And, for me, something that offers flexibility as a GM to really be able to, push when I think something needs pushing, and be able to pull back and let the players kind of push when they need to push. If it can handle that without a lot of meta discussion and without feeling like you're doing it wrong or you're cheating or you have to sort of shove a rule aside to make this work because this is what you want in your experience, that's what I look for. And I like surprises too. So, it's no surprise if you've seen my channel, Chalice and Chains on YouTube. I tend to run a lot of the narrative dice system. And I like that one a lot because the results are always surprising and unique to me. I don't know what's going to happen in any given session. And in that system, it's particularly because of the dice and the results that they can produce. And so for me, that was the major draw. And it didn't hurt that, it was in Star Wars, which who doesn't love Star Wars? So awesome. Cool. All right. Well, let's go on to question 3. So RPG a Day 2018, question 3. What gives a game staying power? Wow. So that one's a good one. And I think I'll start with that one. I think what gives a game staying power, for me, honestly, it's interesting. I feel like it has to either be devoid of a setting or have the ability to accommodate many different types of stories, whether that's in the same sort of setting or not. I think Dungeons and Dragons is really good at that because it's officially set in the Forgotten Realms, but it's sort of not. And there's enough other settings out there, and people use it to run all kinds of different games, right? So that to me is that, and a rule set that creates fun stories that you're not constantly fighting against, right? I think is what makes it have the real staying power. When you can say, ooh, let's go play this high fantasy adventure one night, and then, the next week or whatever, you're like, hey, I watched Pirates of the Caribbean last night. I really want to do something with pirates. And you're like, no problem. This game can handle it, So, yeah, I think for me, that would be the big thing, what really gives that game staying power.
Oh, yeah. So this was hard to separate what you look for, what gives it staying power, because I think those two questions can kind of run together. But I think the biggest ones for me are continuity and adaptability of the entire system, I guess. Like continuity in terms of like the editors and creators, which is why I love 5th edition for this, is they're always coming out with something to enhance it, or it doesn't always enhance it, but they're always coming out with something. Like just when it's about to get stale, they'll release the antivirus and completely revamp the whole thing. Or now they're going to release 2 new settings with making Eberron, pronounce it. But adaptability is huge. Like the settings are big for me, but if I can create my own and I can run my own in any time period, any place, I'll always come back to that system. Like you can run Savage Worlds in any like sci-fi, fantasy, western, pirate. You can run it anywhere, and that's why I'll always come back to places like Savage Worlds and D&D because they have that kind of adaptability that I look for. And as long as I don't get bored. So I don't find myself doing the same things over and over like deja vu when I keep playing the game. That'll be the last thing.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. All right, so this is going to, it says less than a minute. Let's just wait and see if it kicks us out. And if it does, then I will immediately start a new one. And if it doesn't, I will end the meeting. And
how far less than a minute do we have?
I don't know. Oh.
Why doesn't it just count down from
This is nice.
Yeah, it probably would. I don't know. I'm curious because again, I've only ever done a group call with the pro version, so.
And that's
and the pro version's unlimited time?
Yep.
Okay.
Yup. I think it's been more than a minute. I'm
the longest
curious.
minute of my life. Someone should have started timing it.
Come on, Zoom. All right. Well, I'll go to Rory then. So Rory, what gives a game staying power for you?
I'm going to look at this mostly from the GM perspective, and I would say for me, I would say that the main challenges that have to be addressed in GMing are getting players and knowing your rules. So even if it might not be necessarily my favorite game system, which sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. This isn't a Savage Worlds commercial, but I do think that Savage Worlds is the one that no matter how much time goes by, if I need to run something, if I really want to run something soon and I don't have a group of players to pull from, I'm going to try to get some people to play. Or really under any conditions, I would go to Savage Worlds because the rule systems I don't think it's necessarily crunchless, but it's easy to teach and easy to understand. So I think if I had to teach 4 people how to play anything tonight, the easiest one to do would be Savage Worlds. Other reason I like it is the reason why I think it has staying power is because it's flexible. So if I don't have one of those companions, I could still make it work. So that gives it staying power to me. And finally, I would say, just from a personal taste perspective, I like very gritty, kind of risky games. And Savage Worlds to me is a sort of I think it would get classified in the rules light, but where most rules light, I would say, is player friendly. I put Savage Worlds in the more gritty zone of rules light systems because you take too many wounds, you roll that die, and who knows? Maybe you lost an eye. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's very, very gritty, and I like that.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's interesting. I mean, I really like the idea of gritty settings or gritty systems, really, that support that, because I think there's a lot of games out there that have a gritty setting, but maybe the rules don't necessarily support it, and so you have to do a lot to sort of make it that way. So yeah, that's interesting.
I agree. I mean, D&D 5e, I know so many people that create tables to make it hurt you more, which I like. But in Savage World, that's just basically the way the game is ran. Like, you don't have HP fluctuating up and down. It's all about how wounded you are.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and in Edge of the Empire as well, that can be scary because your wound threshold really doesn't go up very much. So, you know, if all of a sudden you're a few sessions in and you're coming up against something real bad, they can take you down in one shot, even if you're super, or two shots probably, even if you're, you know, you're kind of a badass yourself. So yeah, that's interesting. I like that. Interesting perspective for sure. Cool. All right. Caleb, how about you?
All right, what gives an RPG its staying power? To me, I see this as kind of a combination of a lot of different things. One thing is this like publisher support. I've seen some games where they publish one or two books and then it's completely forgotten about. But to me, that's a way to kill a game. It's also don't pull like older D&D and Pathfinder and throw out 20 books a month. Well, yes, that may keep a power. It turns off a lot of people.
Yeah.
Also, usually active forums by other players. To me, that has been an invaluable resource for keeping a game alive. You can go on, any rules questions, you can either ask it, it'll get answered quickly, or you find it right there. It's also, I mean, adding, if it's a published setting, adding more to the world. You know, make it go like D&D, they're adding Eberron and Ravnica now. Or if it's a generic setting, maybe not adding on more rules, but like refining the system so it flows better. Also, it's just if it's a popular setting or system, people are going to keep playing it. The game will stay alive. Also, staying power is like the presence of the game at conventions, especially something like Gen Con, which are known to run like kind of special games. If the game gets known for running like a really good big one shot at a con, that spreads right there and gets more people to the game. So it's a combination of publisher support, player loyalty, forum usage, kind of a bunch of things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's, you know, it's interesting. I think that we've sort of seen a vibe that there needs to be, I'll call setting a resource. There needs to be resources for us to be able to draw on numerous times, you know, because I was sort of thinking about, okay, well, if there's, like, let's say there's a system out there, but they have kept it completely without a setting, and it's flexible, but you know, you have to put a lot of work into it. It seems like that would be less appealing. Now, I know for me, Genesis is that, right? Genesis basically is a tool, and Fate too, right? Fate's a toolkit. The difference is, though, that of course Fate and Genesis now starting to, they're putting out setting books. They're putting out extra tools, so to speak. But yeah, it's interesting. So I think you're right. I think that if there's a system that has the ability to stay fresh, to stay new, to stay exciting,
keep it new without overloading or bloating itself. Yeah,
and sometimes maybe the easiest way to do that is through a setting, because there's only so many rules that you want to add. But by doing a setting, you get to say, here's a different take, or here's a slightly different way to do this based on that. Yeah, so that's neat.
Well, settings can also take one system, and like different settings, you could you can run the system a different way to adapt more to that setting.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Savage Worlds is really good about that. I like that a lot. You know, if the new Ravnica book does not let you incorporate your magic cards into D&D, I'm going to be disappointed. I don't have any magic cards, and I'm probably not going to play in that setting, but that would be brilliant.
I don't really know anything about Magic the Gathering, so I don't know any of the lore. I look at it as it's a whole new D&D setting to play with, so.
And it'll have sweet art.
I don't have the Magic the Gathering background.
I'll have to all the dust off my cards.
Yeah. I don't know if, like I said, whoever gets it, if there is not some way to incorporate your magic cards into the game, we're just gonna have to boycott Wizards of the Coast entirely. Clearly, they don't know what they're doing, and they're gonna go out of business.
I mean, we all saw that interview with Hasbro there, so clearly they don't know anything about it.
I mean, you know.
Actually, that brings me to 5e is actually a good example of a company, like a game keeping like staying power. Like 5e is this is very different for Dungeons and Dragons for the first time. They're only publishing like 4 books a year, if that. Half of them are adventures and half of them are like system or resource books. To me, that is a brilliant idea too.
And you can tell they're really taking their time and focusing on it, which is nice. Like the creators and publishers are listening, so they're taking out broken mechanics, or they're enhancing ones that everyone likes.
Well, also, if you remember, the 5e went through a huge playtesting process, like open to everybody.
So did Pathfinder, but
well, and it's doing
That's another video.
But and I think obviously the SRD and the OGL. I mean, the OGL I think was the biggest boom.
The OGL saved the hobby from going in defunct.
Yeah, for sure, because it's it allows those creative types to be able to keep it fresh, right? So so maybe that's another part to that question is the ability for you as somebody who a big fan of the game, who's also very creative, having an open gaming license means that not only can you create your setting in the way you're going to do things for your home table, but maybe get it out there to people who might want to play with it, and in a way that you can have art and you can have layout, and that's expensive, and so maybe you can make some money off of that. So
well, this ties into that too. I noticed this is definitely more of a recent thing. A lot of companies have their own, like White Wolf has the Storyteller's Vault, where you can publish stuff for the White Wolf system, sell it on Drive to RPG for $1. I know Woyne has the Publishing Syndicate. Pugmire had pretty much all the games have their own syndicates, clubs, whatever they call them. And usually you download like an art pack and you write up either new characters or scenario. And I mean, you go on Drive to RPG, like $1 or $2.
Right.
That's definitely a way to keep a system going too. Or give a system, a game, or a setting, They
want to hear from their players. They want to know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's only recently I've been seeing that though, which is nice.
I'm hoping Samuel here will give us some, with his answers, some details on Fate that I don't know, because I've been hearing a lot about these systems I do know, and I'm wondering, I don't even know what Fate puts out, to be honest.
Fate puts out a lot. It's literally, it's
the Dresden Files RPG.
There's a new they put out like Sam you said before, Fate is a toolkit, and so Evil Hat Productions, the guys who make Fate, they come out with a new either one setting or like a booklet with like 4 mini settings in it, pretty consistently.
Like regularly, like once, like I think it's maybe once a month or once every other month. It's like a 50-page, they call it Fate Worlds, I think.
Now, I'm used to seeing the Savage Worlds compendiums, and they usually have like, so the thing about Savage Worlds, right, is like there's the list of moves or powers or whatever it is in the individual thing. That's kind of the thing. They're always able to be skinned, so it's more like I would almost just call it a mechanic that is then skinned to either be a feat, talent, trick, science, whatever you want it to be. And they always give you those details in the compendiums. Although I have to say, the ultimate guides, the ones that are based on like real world cultures, like Ultimate Guide to the Celts, Ultimate Guide to Feudal Japan, and so on, those usually don't have much of that. And it's mostly lore, setting, environment, power players, big events, and things.
Yeah.
Is it mostly more a flavor?
In my experience, the ones I've read, I don't pick up all of them because I don't like most of the I'm just not into most of the settings they do, but from my experience, it's almost entirely flavor, with obviously some tweaks, like the tweaks I spoke about in I think the second video. That Fate's good for.
Well, and they use those to introduce sort of new ways or a different way of applying a mechanic. So like if like Fate is known to do things like, they say, okay, everything in Fate is built like a character, right? So, everything can have aspects, everything can have skills, everything, everything, right? But they're like, so you could do like corporations, like you could create a corporation and build it in a very similar way that you would a character, right? And you could do, the adversary toolkit, for example, gives you new ways of thinking about how to build an adversary, right? It's not just an NPC. You can build encounters that are adversaries that do a certain thing and act a certain way. And so, though that happens to be a specific toolkit, but the Fate worlds will do stuff like that. They'll introduce this theme, and then it's like, and here's how you can use the rules in a creative way to sort of fit this theme. And so, if you want to talk about how do you have staying power, how do you have, keep it fresh, like Fate's got it down, because they are constantly doing stuff that's like, here, try zombies, or here, try, this weird mystical setting, and you're like, whoa, I don't know if I want to play that, but that sounds cool.
Well, one of the first ones they had a couple of years back was a firefighter setting. It was like, be a firefighter.
Yeah.
So like they span a huge, it's just like this huge spectrum that they cover.
So it's almost like Legos. Anything you can do, there's a Lego for it.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So Fate is the Lego.
Fate is
of
Lego.
Yeah.
That's a perfect analogy, yes.
Well, Lego has a lot of staying power. So.
Lego has a lot of staying power.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. That has been RPG a Day, the first 3 questions. We will be putting up certainly the next 2 questions, questions 4 and 5, which I think will sort of round out the part 1 or whatever. Good questions. I have a feeling 4 and 5 will definitely we'll expound on those a lot.
I think we each have our own stories about questions 4 and 5.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna need a longer video for that one.
Yeah, we're gonna have to stitch that one together, man.
Absolutely. But yeah, so we will be doing that, and hopefully we'll be able to bring all 31 questions to you. If we can do it in this group format, that's great. If not, likely we will do either a smaller group or individuals. But the goal is really to connect with other people in the RPG community. Find out what you like, what you dislike through these questions. And really to promote that positivity, because at the end of the day, RPG a Day is about coming together, promoting positivity, and learning together about each other. So remember to use that hashtag RPG a Day when you promote your answers on social media, whether it's in video format on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. If it's a blog post, I guess if you are writing it with pencil and paper and you want to take a picture of it, whatever, however you do it, use that hashtag, and that way we can search the hashtag and find it. I would recommend hashtag RPG a Day 2018, but if you do hashtag RPG a Day, you're good. People will find you, and hopefully it will help to bring the community together. And that's what we're all about with the UnNamed Production Company. So
It's one of our primary goals, to build up a community.
Yep, exactly. Cool. All right, everybody, this has been fun, and we will catch you on the next one.